Welcome back to the podcast. Today we've got Adam Honig with us, and he is going to show us all the information we need to know about CRMs and, what he thinks
I
about
need to
today.
stop you right there because we need to kill CRM. CRM is old and needs to die. I mean, I can't think of a technology that has cost salespeople more money than CRM. I met with this guy who said it was a soul-sucking corporate tool designed to hold salespeople down. And that's the way you should think about CRM. It needs to be retired along with the Rolodex. I mean, who uses a Rolodex these days?
Come on, I had that old card catalog. I had the advanced one, right? I had the one with the clear plastic with the cards in it. The one that
you have a battery pack and it would spin itself around.
Yeah,
for you?
come on, God. I've had all for versions of. Look, for those of you who don't even know what we're talking about, you youngsters out there, I had one that had the ABCs and it had a little arrow. You went down, and then they opened the A. I thought I was high tech back then, right? That was kind of like the advanced version of it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right?
and that's about as useful as CRM is these days. I mean, I've been working in CRM for a long time. I remember I did a training on CRM for this big company called MetLife, and some guy hated it so much he crumbled up a paper that was from the training and threw it at me. I mean, everybody hates CRM. Why are we still using it? Surely there's got to be something better out there.
Well, if we don't know what you're doing, I mean, I'm corporate America. What are you salespeople doing all day long? How do I know that you guys aren't just effing off and, it was wasting my money? What am I paying you for if I don't track every moment of every breath you take?
But listen, if you're using CRM, if a company's using CRM, they have two outcomes. One is they're wasting their salespeople time by typing in all kinds of shit that nobody's going to see. Secondly, or they're not using it at all, which is probably much more likely, and the company's just wasting money on it. Like, it's terrible. It's the worst.
Well, how are we going to get efficient about getting numbers, getting people, tracking what our people do? How do we do it, Adam?
Listen, it is the year 2025. We have software that can do things for us. You got ChatGPT that can do, most of everybody's jobs. Why do we still rely upon salespeople to be typing in information into CRMs? I mean, surely there's a better way to do it. Surely the AI could just be watching everything that was going on and just update itself. Like, let's get me out of the way of doing that work. Like, who cares?
Well, okay, here, I got it. Now tell me, how does that work? So let's talk a little bit about the website you guys have created and how we can help transform our salespeople from being locked to this chain of doom of our CRM.
Now, listen, we have what we call an anti-CRM platform, okay? Because it's the opposite of what CRM is. But I need to tell you that the inspiration for this really came from the movie Her. Have you seen this movie?
Love it.
Scarlett Johansson, not herself, just her voice is enough to get Joaquin Phoenix to fall in love with her, right? And she's like on his phone. She's an AI. She looks through the camera. She's reading his emails, and she helps him during the day. And I was watching this movie many years ago at this point, and I was like, goodness, that's what we need. We don't need CRM. We need Scarlett Johansson helping us all day. And so the inspiration for Spiro and kind of what we call this anti-CRM CRM came directly from Scarlett Johansson. Now, she's not involved. I just want to make this very clear, Anthony. We pitched her many times, but she's, I don't know, in movies or whatever the kind of stuff that she does. So I don't want to get the wrong expectation here because Scarlett Johansson is not coming out with Spiro. But basically, the idea is exactly that. Imagine if the AI, was integrated with a salesperson's inbox, so it could see what their emails are and be like, oh, Anthony, he's somebody that I'm giving a quote to. Maybe I should create a contact for him. Maybe I could read his email signature and know that he's the CEO or whatever needs to happen and just do it all in the background for people. That's kind of the idea.
So hold on. So the AI assistant is like, I always think that would be one of the things. I'm not sure why it's not automatic. Like every single signature should automatically end up in my Rolodex somewhere.
Right.
If I don't use it, I mean, it's not like I'm running out of disk space. Today I've got terabyte upon terabyte of storage space. So it's not like I'm running out of space for it.
Yeah.
But,
and there's gold in that. What about the mobile phone number of the person that you're dealing with? It's probably in their email signature. You got to reach out to them. You got to look it up. You got to look through your inbox. You got to find it. Hey, why couldn't the software just get that for you? Oh, and by the way, while it's doing that, it's looking at all the communication you have with that person. And maybe, before you call them, it can give you an insight like they're a Yankees fan, God forbid, or something like that. So like give you help in your day instead of being like, hey, I need to essentially do what we used to do with a fax. We used to fax in our notes at the end of the week, right? Instead of doing that, now we're just emailing it in. Let's move into the 21st century here and just have the AI know everything so that if our boss needs an update, they can just ask the AI, hey, what's going on with this account? And it doesn't have to bother me, you know?
Yeah, I got it. I got it. So let's talk a little bit about how does it do it, and kind of at what level, and how much. What's the relationship between the Spiro AI and the salesperson, or is it just salespeople, or is it everybody on my team?
So it could be anybody really who's dealing with customers. I highlight salespeople because they are, traditionally the people who are most resistant to using this type of technology because it's taking money from their pocket, right? But yeah, anybody who's working with customers, Spiro can help just automatically collect all that information so that other team members, like imagine you're an inside salesperson, you're working with a field sales guy who's going to go visit a factory. What typically happens is he's going to call you up and be like, hey, Anthony, give me the update so I can go have a good meeting with these guys. Well, imagine if the software just gave it to him, how much more productive you would be doing everything else you had to do, and so it can synthesize that data across the whole company to basically give the briefing. But it actually gets a little bit more interesting because once we have that data, and you can see this in ChatGPT. You can ask it for inferences. Hey, what am I missing with this account? And it'll be like, oh, well, you've never really discussed price with them. Oh, yeah, totally. I need to do that. Great. Or, whatever, like it doesn't have to be crazy stuff. But when we're in the moment and we're working with customers, like we're not thinking about this stuff. Right. And so this is an opportunity for the AI to help fill in the gaps on it.
I mean, it's just the gene. I mean, while you're talking about it, I can see it working in my estimating office. Right? Imagine my estimators
Yeah.
going through the same thing. Look, they're talking to subcontractors. We're out there bidding projects. You're having this conversation that never ends up on the superintendent's job site. They don't know what happened. All I get is this number from a drywaller.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it'd be great to have the notes from that conversation, or a recording of that conversation, and the ability to go back and go, yeah, yeah, here, or have the AI catch and go, hey, you might want to make sure you understand how many men they have. They got a great number for you. They did get everything covered, but how you missed asking what kind of manpower they have.
Yeah, yeah. Or check it out. Like you're quoting a product, like you're having a conversation, like and the AI is just there taking notes on it so you don't miss anything. I mean, I'm sure it never happens to you, but some guys, we have a terrible memory, and we're like, what did I actually say to that guy? And you can go back and review it because it's all been captured. And how about if the AI can actually then draft up a follow-up email and just say, hey, we discussed these things. We talked about these products. Here's the value prop that I shared with you. Boom. And you could send it out to the customer. I mean, this is
love
not a future technology. This is all the capability that we have today,
That's fun. I mean, look, what does it take to get on? How do you start training it for you and your team? Let's talk a little bit about that. How do they onboard? Look, every single person I talk to on in the construction world we're all kind of like cats chasing a laser pointer, right? If it's on our sales team, what tools we should be using, what ideas we should be using to make it smarter, faster, better, right? And then same on the execution operation side, on the estimating, the operation side, right? What are the tools that we could be using to make this smarter? So talk to me a little bit about how does Spiro AI start to how do we get involved in, and how do we test it out for us?
Yeah. So the way that we look at it is any kind of new thing for the sales team, you want to go slow with, because salespeople, we're super busy. We don't have a lot of time for this kind of stuff. So what we want to do is when people start working with Spiro, the first thing that we do is we give the system access to their email. And then it can build up a list of all their contacts, all of their customers, the communication, all of that. And we can start getting people interacting with the AI to get these kind of insights. The second thing we do is we connect with their financial system, whether it's an ERP or just a financial system, because we want to have like the purchase history of the customers in the system. Because once we start sucking in the purchase history, then we can be like, hey, wait a second. I see that these guys used to buy a lot of stuff last year. And guess what? They haven't bought anything yet this year. And we think you should reach out to them. And that might be an email from Spiro to the sales rep. It might be a pop-up in the app if they're logged in. And because our goal is ultimately to help people sell more. So we connect the financial system and we get that data rolling in there. A little bit further down the road, maybe we can connect quotes. You mentioned quotes. And, like sometimes people don't follow up quickly about quotes, and imagine if the software could be like, hey, Anthony, I saw you sent this quote, but you haven't called the guy. What the heck?
It happens every single day. We send out estimates, we send out proposals, and there's like well, we're gonna wait for them to get back to you. No, no, no. Listen, they're shopping your number, right?
Yes.
Get on that follow up. Like you send it over before you send it over. Talk to them about sending it over. As you send it over, see if you can review it with them as they receive it, and after you're done, ask for the order.
Yeah. And let me ask you this question. Do you suspect that there are certain prospects that are just asking you for quotes, but they're never going to do business with you?
All day long. That's right.
And how do
They use
you
their number.
how do you kind of weed that out?
So a big chunk of that, you got to track it, right? You got to look
Mhm,
at it and go,
mhm.
all right, here, what is it about the last, couple of projects? My request is that every time we send a proposal over, we have a review with that person if we don't get the project. But
Yep.
I'd like to do that before we not get the project, um, to be able to go look at that and go, all right, look, hey, we just bid for you once or twice now, and we seem that we're missing the ball. What is it that we're missing? Can we go through this? Because it's really for us, it's really expensive to bid a project. I mean, we spend, five to $20,000 on on a
Yep.
bid project alone.
So we don't have this today, but part of the future vision is that it can like take that data in that you learn and then say whether you should even be giving them the quote in the
Mm.
future. I mean, because it knows what you're up against and it sees that history of quotes not being successful coming out of the ERP or financial system. So there's just like, we're just at the beginning of so many use cases of this stuff. It's crazy, with,
Well, I see a future where the whole bid process goes away, right? I mean that the nonsense of the way that we bid projects for, especially in the construction world, it's such a waste. It's such an antiquated way of doing it. I mean, think about this for us. We may bid a project. Let's call it restaurant A,
yeah,
right? Let's call it 100 line items on a bid for them.
sure.
We got plumbing and electrical and underground sewers, and we got site work and driveways and lot striping and landscaping and roofing and gutters. Let's call it 100 line items. We go to bid on three subs for every line item. So before we even get started, right? Imagine each of those subs spends $1,000 bidding for us,
Yep.
right? 100 line items, three subs per line item. That's $300,000 in bid work that no one's won anything for,
Hmm.
right? Nobody won the project yet. And imagine there might be five of us bidding. Yeah, you take that, that's $1.5 million out of the industry,
Right.
and no one's won the project yet.
Yeah. So how would that work in the future then in your mind?
In the future, the way that we bid projects, number one, all takeoffs need to be done at design,
Hmm.
right? Today, they use AutoCAD, right? In
Sure.
AutoCAD, a layout is a wall equals a line, or a line equals a wall,
Hmm.
right? You go over and you go on A101, you got this drawing, now you go over to the wall section. Wall type one might be drywall, metal studs, drywall. White type wall type two might be, brick, metal studs, drywall. Right? Each of the different variations of walls will be over here in Revit,
Hmm.
right? In Revit, each of those wall types, each of those lines represents a family of parts. At design, I can now do a takeoff, and I know how many linear feet of drywall, how many boards of 4x8 drywall sheets I need, how many screws, how much mud, how much, right? As I build those families, right now I have a great understanding of the takeoff at that point.
Right.
Now, the future will really be how many sheets can a person hang, how many, right? And I can start to figure out manpower requirements based on that. Now the only difference would be your labor rates and your labor availability, versus the performance level of your people versus my people. And you can see it kind of being like an Uber later on,
Hmm.
right? 5-star drivers get first pick, 4-star drivers get next pick, right? You can almost say you see how you'd want to maintain your 5-starness.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
future will be no more bidding. It's coming. That's a whole another conversation to have. But to your point, it's an inefficient business as of today.
Yes. Yes. And there's a lot of conversations that we're having with people which never turn into business at all, which is the worst, right?
Dead deal cost, we call it,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
How much dead deal cost do you want to put out there? It's ultimately, why are we cold calling? Why are we trying to find people? Why are we trying to communicate with them? We're trying to put our work and their need into alignment with each other.
Yep. Now imagine, you had a sales team of 50 people running around doing this, and how hard it would be to understand the people who are wasting their time with the wrong accounts if you didn't have some process of automatically knowing who they were talking to. So, imagine if you had a chart of, how much effort you put into something versus how much business you're getting out of it. And that could be automatically generated by the system because you expect that relationship to be up and to the right. The more time I put in, the more business I get out.
That's
But
right.
what if it's not? How do you course correct? How do you even know that that's the case? Because this is a predictive sign that your business is that salesperson is going to be having a gap in their business at some point down the road, right?
Absolutely right. You've got the work that you do on generating the sale needs to not stop there, right? That needs to understand, start to predict the next sale for them, right? The
Mhm.
material usage, when they're going to do that. Is it a project related work? Is it a one-time use, or is it a sales? Hey, I'm selling them perishable items that their company uses over and over again. And how do I start to predict when the right time is to start to communicate with them, so I'm in alignment with the next purchase?
Totally. I mean, we had a customer that we worked with who's in the medical device space, and they sold to hospitals, and they did this exercise of mapping out where their guys actually were versus how much money, and it turned out that half of the time the sales team was meeting with people because they liked the doctors or they knew the receptionist or something like that, not because that was where the value was for the business, where the sales were, because that was just what they felt comfortable with. And again, without the data that shows you, what they're doing, you just can't get that kind of insight. But the problem is you can't get that data just by asking everybody to fax it in at the end of the week. It needs to be automated. It needs to be something that nobody has to do any work to provide. Otherwise, and I don't want to say people are going to provide the wrong data, but I'm just going to say the data isn't that accurate,
Yeah. Yeah, right. All the well, hold on. I want to go back to what you were saying. Aren't most of those medical reps like cute people? Like, don't think about how cute they are. That's what
That
makes
used
them.
to be the case. For better or for worse, they've changed the way that all of that stuff is sold. But there's a great movie on Netflix. I don't remember what it's called. It was all about sales reps in the medical device industry, or medical industry. And it was crazy times in the early 2000s. But they've cleaned up all of that now.
Well, as they should, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you that I haven't heard those same stories in the background. So that's fine. So as you continue to start to look at this, where do you see the sales world and the tools? What can you imagine goes from here? Like, what can you see that will make them? What's that magnet that you see out in front of us that's pulling us towards it?
Well, I kind of like the idea of the Iron Man suit for salespeople. Just like our job in the industry, not even just Spiro, but like overall the industry is to provide salespeople, anybody who's working with customers, the heads down display that they can just know what they should be doing based upon what's going on and who people are, what their needs are, how do we solve their problems, by getting data to show that to us so we can just make it happen easier for them. And that'll mean that everybody can cover a bigger territory probably too, because they're going to be spending less time dealing with BS, frankly, and dealing with, customer situations. And so that's really where I see the North Star for Spiro is how do we really get that, kind of heads down display for people to make them super productive. I know I've got one too many movie metaphors in here. I'm just a fan.
No, you don't.
I don't know.
Listen, I think people can see it when you say that. So let me ask you, what's the I guess advice you give to a company as they're embarking on this? Like, look, I want to make this better. Look, obviously, at the end of the day, I want to make more sales.
Yes. Well,
I want to be
I
more
think
profitable.
that they should ask their vendor partners for a Hippocratic oath of CRM. Like the first thing the software needs to do, any software that they want to put in front of salespeople needs to not take time away from salespeople. Like that's just completely ridiculous that it does that. So if they're dealing with any software vendor that needs people to enter data or do stuff like that, they should tell them to go back to the 20th century because that's where their technology belongs. Okay. So first of all, that's my advice. Secondly, is don't do anything. Like if there isn't a problem, like if you don't have a clear goal, a clear idea how I'm going to take this software and make more money out of it, We're going to put more money in the pockets of our sales team. We're going to make our customer service team more productive. Don't do it for the technology. You need to do it because it's going to make the business more money. And I would spend as much time on nailing that down as I would be doing demos and talking technology and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, if it doesn't do that, who cares, right?
That's right. That's right. I think there's a lot of folks now. The scenario I see a lot of folks in is they want to not care because they don't want to make the change.
Yeah.
Right. So I think on the other side of that is be careful not to talk yourself into it. Doesn't matter because look, there are those who will embrace AI. If they're not seeing it today, there is a clear understanding that look, it's all designed to make us become more efficient. Now, don't just do it because it's the buzzword of the day,
No.
but start to really look at how could this impact my future development as a company? Because my fear is that if people don't start to embrace this now, even start to toy with it, play with it, look, even bring on some software that can start to make it more efficient as it grows, as you grow as a brand, right? As your software grows, it becomes much more usable.
Look, listen, I want to mix two more metaphors for you. So
Sure.
supposedly, you don't win any of the shots that you don't take, right? So we totally agree with that. But at the same time, if you don't know where you're shooting, you're never going to get there either. So
Yes, sir.
you need to not only take action, but you need to take action with a direction in mind. And I'll give you an example. So we have a customer that's in the ball bearing business, still a very hot space. Okay. Ball bearings are not dead at all. We worked with them for like a year to figure out like what made sense for them in terms of having an anti-CRM for their sales team. And what we figured out was that their internal teams between their inside sales team and their field sales team, they were spending 4 hours a week just talking to each other. And so the goal of the project was, hey, why don't we, if we can reduce that by half, get 2 hours per week per salesperson, we can do 1 or 2 more sales calls during the week at least. And then we should be able to make, a little bit more business out of it. And so we kind of got that as the goal, and we set up the program to make sure that that was enforced by the way the software works. So everything that they would normally be talking about in these internal meetings could just be absorbed by the software and just there for them.
As opposed to just eliminate all the internal meetings completely.
Well, I'd love to do that, but somehow that's even harder to kill than CRM, it seems.
It's tough. By the way, there is some value to getting people together and having a little kumbaya. I'm not sure what it is all the time, and I do try to break, but I'm the guy who calls meetings together also. So it's not unlike me to be talking to one person. Somebody will need somebody else. I'll pull them right in, and I'll drop them off where I should be sending them an email and answer it later. I have this kind of idea that just not have an in basket. Let's solve problems, or let's not have a to-do list. Let's just solve problems as they come up, get it done. It kind of keeps everybody moving forward quickly. So let me ask you this: what industries do you think could benefit from AI-driven solution?
Well, we're focused on industries that have physical goods. So manufacturing, distribution, construction, these are companies that are dealing with real world things. And the reason why we're focused on that is because we have a lot of data in the product about looking at orders in the past and what products have been related to those orders and things like that. And there's just like a lot of richness in there that I don't feel like financial services or insurance or something like that would really have. So we're really looking for like real world companies, if you will.
Got it. Do you see it, integrating in other parts of the business?
I do. Down the road, yes. I mean, right now our remit is really to kill CRM and replace the front of the office stuff. But there's plenty of other ways like project management that could really use a facelift too, and things like that. But we're just like, there's something we have to focus on first.
Well, you kill CRMs, Adam. You go out there and you just stab them and get rid of those CRMs as you continue to progress. If people want to get a hold of you and bring you into their sales team and get rid of their CRM and make their system smarter, what's the best way for them to catch up with you?
I mean, definitely at the website of Spiro.ai. We have a lot of information on there. You can hook up with me on LinkedIn. Just Adam Honig at LinkedIn. Should be pretty easy to find. There's a couple other Adam Honigs, but I'm the only one trying to kill CRM. So,
well, Adam Honig, you are fun to talk to. It's a lot of fun. Folks, go check out Spiro.ai. It's a great platform for you to bring on. And get your salespeople moving, get them moving and thinking a lot smarter than ever before. Great job with putting this together. We look forward to trying it out ourselves. Thank you.
Thanks, Anthony. Appreciate it.
Hey, folks, last week we had an amazing amount of downloads. It was crazy. Another breakthrough week. We're at 65,000 downloads or subscribers now. It's crazy how many of you guys have joined. But we noticed that a lot of you guys made it to the end of last week's show and you weren't subscribers. If you could take a second and do that now, it makes a world of difference to Lissa and Joe and the people in the background to put together these great podcasts and getting us guests like Adam to come on, right? Having those numbers does make a difference. If you could take a second and do that now, it just takes a quick button push. And as always, we're so grateful for you listening. Thanks for being here.